Welcome to SBW Talks. Today we have Sanjukta Mitra. Sanjukta is a visual artist, storyteller, and seeker whose journey through art, dance, and music has been nothing short of transformative. Born in India and steeped in the traditions of Kathak dance and Hindustani classical music from the tender age of 2, Sanjukta's creative roots run deep. Today, she's known for her soul-stirring paintings that blend realism with expressionism, spiritual metaphors with bold color, and healing with beauty. From exhibiting in her solo and duo shows, Spiritus at the Rum River Art Center and Hopkins Center, to her series being approved for display at the Minneapolis International Airport, to exhibiting internationally with the Arts to Hearts Project and being selected as the top 100 women emerging artists worldwide in 2023. Sanjukta's work is a vibrant ode to humanity, hope, and the inner journey. In this podcast, we dive into her story, how she left a corporate career in 2021 to follow her artistic calling full time, built a thriving studio, teaching close to 100 students aged 5 to 80. This is more than an artist's tale. It's a celebration of purpose, resilience, and the power of creative expression. Welcome, Sanjukta. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Neela, for inviting me to your podcast. I am truly honored to be interviewed by you. Thank
No,
you.
we're so excited to have you. So let's start off your journey. What inspired you to start creating art?
Yeah, I think as much as I can remember, I've always found a lot of joy, in just expressing myself through various forms of art, be it music, be it dancing, be it visual art, painting, all of that. But I guess, with time, you slowly sort of start realizing the meaning behind, one wanting to express themselves through these different forms. So I guess, growing up in a South Asian family, the pressure or rather the rigor is always an academic rigor, right? That's the passport to having a good life. So I guess there was so much of focus on academics. We don't get as much time to sort of explore ourselves, explore, the softer side of ourselves, or rather the inner side of ourselves, right? So back in 2021, when the COVID, happened, it gave me a little bit of time to sort of just sit down and reflect. And that's when I started painting again. But this time when I was painting, it was very, very different. It wasn't for the purpose of just sort of creating art. It was really towards helping me serve the purpose of my own life. So, that's pretty much the backstory put very succinctly. I think as much as I can remember, I've been into art in all different forms. So I've been painting practically all my life. It's just that now I'm doing it full time, and this is my only thing other than my kids.
And how does it feel coming out from a corporate career to being an artist? How was that transformation?
It's liberating. It's not that I wasn't enjoying my corporate career. I loved my job. I loved doing what I was doing. I was into data science. I worked as a data science consultant. Growing up, I studied mathematics out of my own choice. I did my master's in business administration, and I loved the rigor. Just a regular corporate life, waking up early morning, getting into these calls with India folks, and wrapping up the day with dinner next to my iPad, laptop, all of that. I was okay with it, but I guess it was never enough. It didn't feel like the whole of me. It always felt incomplete, but I didn't know what it was that my heart was truly looking for, right? So now that I get the whole day to paint, I feel like I'm finally doing justice to my birth, right? To my purpose of life. So it's amazing. It's just like I said, it's not only liberating. I feel like I'm truly being able to make a difference, leveraging the tool that I'm born with, right? Although I don't believe in talent, it takes a lot to work on these skills, right? But the desire was always there. So yes, it's amazing to be a painter as opposed to being a data science consultant.
I'm sure. No, what does a typical day of an artist look like? What's the
Yeah.
first thing you do? Like when you wake up, how do you feel? Like, what do you know what to paint?
Again, back in the day when I was not a full-time artist, I felt like artists have to be this moody kind of a person. Only when the inspiration strikes, one picks up the paintbrush and follows the heart, and it's all very random and all over the place. They don't need to have a routine. That's the basic understanding of what the persona of an artist is. But I think it is very different from that when you are a full-time professional. When you're a full-time professional, you you do your job as an artist just like how you would do it if you were working in a corporate space. So I have a routine and I'm very, very disciplined about it. It's almost like I'm going to my office, right? So as soon as my kids leave, I run back to my studio. This is my basement studio. I'm taking the interview from here. I run down to my studio. I have a plan for the day. There are days when I know I'm into an absolute painting mode. So I'll have everything prepared. I have my paintbrushes, my colors, and I know what I'm going to kind of produce on my canvas, right? I have a basic idea. And then there are days when I'm just planning a series, or I'm reading up, or I'm researching, I'm sketching, I'm creating some thumbnails. But it's really like the way you would spend your time in office. I would do that in my studio, starting all the way from 8:30 in the morning, goes all the way to about 2:30, until my little one comes back from school. But I guess the idea really is to be disciplined about every little element, every little aspect. It's not just paint, it's not just the time on the canvas. I think that's just a small part of painting. There's so
And
much off the canvas.
I know we were talking about some days, some days you're like really into it. And then some days, like you're like playing hardcore music to get it into the vibe. Talk about the detail of when you're painting and how your mental health is affecting that painting stroke.
Absolutely. I think it's got so much to do with the mindset that one is in, right? We know our tools. I know my tools. I've been working on my skills. So that's something that over the time will build. But mindset could just change from one day to the other. So you got to work on your mindset. And especially, particularly the kind of paintings that I like to create, I like to put positive energy into my paintings, right? I'm not painting dark. The purpose of my paintings is to, lift people, the souls, right? It is for somebody to look at and say, hey, you know what, this is a beautiful day, or rather, or something like, where you start feeling love and optimism. So if I am going with a mindset, or if I'm trying to create an energy which is that positive, that full of love, that full of life on my canvas, I need to feel the same inside, right? And I start working on that, as soon as I wake up. While I'm eating my breakfast or I'm cooking breakfast for myself, I start tuning into the mindset that I need to project on my canvas that day. And then, there are great days and there are days that are not so great. There are days that I'm not feeling that happy and that high. I don't even paint those days. I probably sit down and do some research work, because I know that the energy that I'm carrying is going to reflect on my canvas. So I refrain from picking up my paintbrush that day and delivering on my canvas. So in general, again, this might come across as a news, because people associate creating art with a lot of happiness and relaxation. I guess it really depends. End of the day, if you are working on something which is therapeutic, like a mandala or something which is planned, you sit down crisscross. I do that a lot with a lot of my paintings that have areas that are very well defined. So those aspects of the painting sort of require us to relax. It helps us relax. But then there are days where you are wild. You are just letting your energy come through. There is absolutely no filter, and you just want to put everything that's there inside you onto the canvas, which means everything around you is sort of oblivious to you, right? It ceases to exist. So I think there are two sides to it. Like I always say, it's labor of love. The journey can be pretty painful, but it's all worthwhile. In the end of the day, what comes out can bring those tears of joy. And there are so many times that I have painted something, and that moment when I see my vision emerge on the canvas, I have tears of ecstasy. I have
Wow.
been alone in my basement, just looking at the creation and crying and finding myself so deeply humbled that, thank God I'm just the channel, right? I am just a conduit of what's already been planned, and I'm just delivering it onto my canvas.
Sanjukta, I want to ask you, where do you get your inspiration from?
It's from anywhere and everywhere. The green color dress that you're wearing. I love the green. So maybe that'll inspire me for something that I'm going to paint next. But other than that, I think when I'm awake and I'm dreaming with my eyes open, when I'm truly dreaming with my eyes closed, when I'm sleeping, I dream colors. And sometimes the dreams are really vivid enough for me to remember them and go back to my first thing in the morning, go back to my sketchbook and just quickly list down, especially those early morning dreams, right? In fact, there are days when I have to pull myself out of the bed, especially on weekends when my kids don't have school, and I know I can grab those 2 hours in absolute peace, at 5 o'clock in the morning. I do that 5 to 7 in the morning. I would have just dreamt about something specific, some brush strokes specifically, and some concept that has never come to me, occurred to me earlier. So it could be so much of inspiration is there amidst nature. A lot of my paintings, actually, if you see the color harmony, the colors that I'm using, is probably from a bouquet that I saw the other day. Or it could be I'm taking a walk outside and I see something with the grasses and the flowers and the dried leaves and the rocks next to each other. So it's anywhere and everywhere. It could be in a poem, it could be in a movie. I was watching a movie and then this person goes about saying that love is whole and we are all parts, and the next day I see myself painting something that ties to that message, right? So it could be a song. Songs are extremely inspiring. When I'm listening to music, I start envisioning what the frequency of the song could produce on a canvas. So I guess as an artist, we are constant seekers, and we are constantly seeking the inspiration through different forms of life, right?
Did your past influences, like you being a dancer, being in the music, did it influence the artwork now that you're doing?
Absolutely. And I think it is just getting more and more strong, because now I feel I let my brush dance on the canvas. When I just started 5 years back, I would be a little bit more conservative with how I need to move my brush, right? Because, here you're learning that, hey, this is how your stroke needs to be. So to unlearn that and to listen to yourself, it's almost like you need to learn something to be able to break the rules, right? So now I'm breaking the rules and I'm really enjoying it, because I'm letting my inner self sort of express through letting my brush dance and singing away while I'm painting on the canvas. I'm always listening to music and I'm always either humming or singing or doing something when I'm painting. Yeah, I'm happy, so full of passion and energy when I'm painting.
That's your favorite brush, right? The one you just held up?
Yes, this is what I start with. I always like to start with this, because if you see, this is like, this is almost like a spatula, and I just love the strokes it gives me. It allows me to basically convey my energy on the canvas just the way I feel it. So I feel like this is a direct communication that I can strike.
Oh my God, you're so amazing. You're such a good artist. I mean, a lot of people can draw, but I think you have it in you to be like the medium, as you said, to show you what you're trying to draw, and it comes out so beautifully.
Thank you so much. I'm deeply humbled, and the only prayer that I believe in is that just God, just keep the energy flowing through me. That's all. That's about it. Just keep the interest alive in me, keep the passion alive in me, and give me the physical strength to sort of execute it onto the canvas.
Sanjukta, how many tools do you have?
Oh
Can you
my
show
God.
us the tools?
Boy, any art store for any artist is a candy store. I have so many tools, and I guess I'm only using 50% of them. But I use anything and everything. Like, this is a rubbing alcohol, spray bottles. I would just go with that. Some of my favorite brushes are, like dagger brushes. They're very, I love big brushes. So something like this that,
Wow, that's huge.
that's huge, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I have some sponges. I use some sponges. I've got a coaster here. This is a
Wow.
coaster that I just stole, and I'm using that. Yeah, and I'm also very thankful to a lot of these tutorials or workshops or classes that I've attended, and I've seen how crazy the tools can get, right? So that gives me the confidence that, hey, I can try whatever and anything that comes. I've got the artistic license to use anything that I want to, right? So, yeah. The largest is the 48 by 60 inches painting. It's called Arc of Grace. It just got sold to a beautiful family, but it was really large, and that's when I got my frozen shoulder, because you're lifting it up, you're pulling it down. I didn't have a very sophisticated easel by then. This is an easel that was built by my husband. So it's a big easel that's been built by my husband, and I would just plop it on top of it, put it down, stand on a stool.
There's a lot lot of labor, like hard, like physical labor
Yeah.
involved in art.
Yes, there is. Especially if you're going big with your canvas size, there is, because you are, and that's one thing that I'm beginning to realize, that if I want to, sustain this career, then I have to be physically really, really fit.
Fit.
Yeah, because uh, otherwise the scale gets to a very small size, right? So you got to have the stamina to execute, because what you have in your mind may not promptly come up on the canvas. You are working towards it, and that requires a lot of stamina. I feel I'm musical. I feel I love dancing. I love singing. I think they are all connected.
They are
In
connected.
the end of the day, you're expressing yourself, you're letting the energy out. So it's energy, right? And however you want to express, for me, grace is very important. And it has to be, this
I've seen you dance. Before you started art, I have seen you on dance and you were very graceful.
Oh, thank you. I don't get so much time to dance anymore, because you can't do everything with the equal amount of intensity. But brings me to a very interesting juncture of, or rather, brings me to a very interesting segue. I talked about grace, but at the same time, I'm also talking about being wild and being bold and being this extremely into your face kind of a color, right? So I guess end of the day, all of this is okay as long as there is harmony, right? So grace, elegance, confidence, and all of that kind of, in a unified onto the canvas sort of is me.
No, this is
To the upper
amazing.
level, yeah.
You are truly gifted in the art that you compose on canvas. You're amazing.
Thank you, Neela.
We're discussing that. Talk about the divinity of coming, your vibes coming down, and then you again exiting through your canvas painting.
Yeah, it's all very subtle. I've never been a very religious kind of a person. Honestly, I am seeking the ultimate energy through art. I'm seeking Shiva through art. I have never been the kinds who've gone to temples and chanted mantras. I want to now learn Hanuman Chalisa because I just painted Hanuman. So for me, art is a tool to seek God. I don't know how the mechanism works. I guess the only thing one needs to do, and what I'm trying to do every day, is listening, right? I'm trying to listen to my own inside voice and not doubt it, right? I have started creating, and I've been doing this for the last 5 years. I do a lot of intuitive painting, like whatever just feels right at that moment. Once I am kind of tuned into a certain set of mindset, right, a high energy mindset, but yet with a very calm soul, I just listen to my voice. I pick up the paintbrush I feel like picking up. Like, I have a couple of tools around me here, like something like this, right? You would find it in a hardware shop. I would pick this up if I just look at it. I was like, okay, this is what is calling me, so I'm going to pick this up. I could pick up a worn down spatula from the kitchen. So all kinds of random things. It does not necessarily have to be a paintbrush. It can be your arms. It can be your fingers too. So I guess all I'm doing is I'm just listening, being intuitive, and not stopping myself when I'm creating art. And I guess that is what is helping me channelize the energy I feel inside onto the canvas.
Do seasons help you visualize what you are going to do? Like if it's winter, fall, spring, summer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think seasons outside and inside, right? And music. So with the spring, right, you are always like brimming with life. It's a cheerful season and colors and pop colors. So it definitely inspires my work. And I have a beautiful studio which kind of overlooks a little water body behind. Everything inspires me, right? So I think seasons do play a role. And in fact, the opposite also works, right? So sometimes when it is gloomy outside,
Yes.
I would like to pour some colors onto my canvas to feel the pop of life, right? So yeah, I think both ways it's a blessing. Yeah.
It's a blessing. And what are you working on now? What mythology are you working on now? And what were you working on previously?
When I quit my corporate career, something was very clear in my mind that, and this is not to demean any form of art, right? There are people who paint flowers, there are people who paint portraiture. Nothing is small, it's all great. But I knew that if I'm going to quit an extremely established career, it has to be for a bigger purpose. It cannot just be me feeling good and producing art. I can do that even without quitting my job. I could just sit every weekend and paint something that feels good. That was not it for me. So for me, the purpose was to give back to the society. And I figured out that this is my tool. This is the only thing I feel the most for, and I feel I'm reasonably good enough at. So with that purpose in my mind, wherein I wanted to make a little difference, wherein it's almost like, you are having a bad day, right? And you listen to this peppy number, or you listen to a music that you love, that music is going to change the way you feel that moment, and then you're ready to win over the world, right? That's the power of music. That's the power of art, right? It's not about you remembering that, hey, I went and did great in that interview because I listened to that music. No, music is that integral part of your system, or any form of art is just becomes that integral part of your system. You don't even realize it is different from you. So you do not attribute your success to that. I wanted to create art that could have an impact that big, where it blends in with your system. You look at that art every single day on your wall, and it fills you with life, it fills you with purpose, it allows you to explore possibilities in life that you would otherwise think you're not capable of. So with that purpose, I wanted to create something more on the lines of spirituality. And again, spirituality is all inclusive. So I started with something which was about inner journey, right? Universal connectedness, that we are all connected, right? It's all the same energy sort of hovering around. And with that, something about Greek mythology, spirit animals, the juxtaposition. Again, these are all my own takes. We understand Greek mythology, but I wanted to see it from the lens of spirit animals and juxtapose spirit animals with spiritual Greek mythological angels and heroes and warriors. So that was one of the series that I have worked in the past. And now moving on, I'm getting closer and closer to my roots. I'm working on Hindu mythology, and I'm not even scratching the surfaces yet, I feel. But I have been trying to create a playground for myself where I can explore both my Indian roots and me being a global citizen, if you will, right? So my canvas is me. My canvas is a representation of who I am and who many of us are, something that many of us relate to, which is very strong, deep Indian roots, yet absolutely expressive and wild and free. So right now, all my paintings pertaining to the Hindu mythology series, I'm currently focusing mainly on Shiva's energy. It has both the aspects of very well defined, sculptural paintings, or very well defined little motifs of Nandi, along with a wild Shiva, right? The energy that you just can't take. That's what I'm working on right now, and I'll keep that's 2025 for me. The whole year is like sadhana. It's like meditation for me towards creating a series on Shiva.
Now, do you have a specific color that you see and you just get ideas from? Like you just love that color?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I dream in colors. Oh my god. Yes, and I feel like I don't think there is any color that I don't like. That's what I've started realizing. But yes, what I like is something unconventional, something that people will say, "Hey, that cannot be Shiva," like a pink. So I have a pink Shiva.
Let's
Just
see
because
that. Can you show that?
yeah. Okay. So this is a pink Shiva.
Wow.
Because I was thinking of Nandi, and this is a print. The original is in the gallery, but I was thinking of Nandi, and I could not get my mind off the pink. Nandi to me kept coming in pink. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna resist that. Just because nobody has ever seen pink Nandis, doesn't mean that there cannot be one. So for this painting, pink was the light, the color of faith for me.
Huh.
Love is this aggressive, red is powerful love. Pink is subtle, right? Pink has this beautiful elegance and grace, and almost an energy of surrendering without expecting much. Again, I'm talking colors, right? So I thought, okay, let me go with pink. But then there was this another day, and I felt orange, and I went with orange. So this is a portrait that I just painted of a beautiful dancer back in India. Found her on Instagram, got really inspired, so I painted her portrait. But I felt orange with her, and of course the painting, the reference picture also had some orange. But what really got me into starting this canvas was the orange color. So it every day has a color, and now that we are on this, maybe this one too. It's a parrot green. The reference had none of this parrot
Wow.
green that you see, but I just felt that I want to go green and bold with it, right? Nothing has to be camouflaged here. Whatever it is, it is out in the open. So the boldness does not have to be suppressed with traditional norms of painting when it comes to fine arts.
Wow. That's amazing. The colors are just like jumping out. It attracts you. My question to you is when we purchase art, how does that communication come through? But how does the paintings talk to the viewer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think no painting is complete, right? I mean, the biggest moment as a painter for me is when I'm on my easel, right? Everything else is below that in terms of the kind of sense of fulfillment one feels. But the second biggest moment is when somebody comes as a viewer, looks at that painting, and completes the story. So the story is incomplete until a viewer adds his lens, his experiences to the painting. And I feel I have met with so many people, I've had so many people who've looked at my painting and they've started crying because it has touched that part of their system which is unaccessible, on a day to day basis. And most of the time people pick up paintings that speak to them because either they are seeking something that they're seeing in the painting, or they've got a past that's engraved in that painting.
Wow.
So, I personally feel every painting has an owner, a destined owner, just the moment I start painting on the canvas. So it's amazing. It's extremely personal. What you can feel for a painting can be very, very different from what somebody else's feels for the same painting.
Wow.
And the good news is that, we are living in the times where paintings are, it's sort of affordable. Original paintings are big, they can be expensive because I've spent 500 hours perhaps on it. But like this one, it's just a print. So the good news is that, there can be smaller prints, bigger prints, whatever one wants to sort of shell out when it comes to buying paintings. But
And paintings are not all expensive. We were discussing that. Like some people don't want to purchase paintings because they feel it's too expensive.
Again, it's like you can buy a piece of furniture, right? Because you're going to use it. You want to sit on a good piece of furniture and physically feel good about it. Paintings will make you mentally feel good about it, for all your life practically, right? So it's about the mindset, truly. It's a lot about what you're seeking from a painting. If it's only purely decorative, it's a different kind of a painting. But if it's something where you're trying to derive energy that helps you be successful in life, then why not?
And my question to you is coming from a South Asian family, going back to your roots, how did your family feel about you? This could be for future artists as well, this question, because sometimes they're scared to transition from being in a corporate world to becoming an artist. So what advice you give someone and what did you have to go through to achieve that goal?
It was hard. It was very, very tough, right? I mean, I had all the support that I needed from my husband, from my brother sitting in India. He kept supporting me. My husband has been really, really supportive through and through. But my mom, for instance, there would be one day she would be all supportive, and the next day she would be like, "Are you sure you're doing the right thing? You're making this big switch in your life." So she was almost like a pendulum, right? So one day on, and the other day, maybe this is not the right thing for you to do. And I'm sure they all meant the best for me. So in my family, I had everybody wanting the best for me and speaking from that lens, right? So it was not easy. It was really tough because I was starting, from ground zero all the way, from learning what the industry looks like, learning the skill, being able to produce on the canvas, all of that. But I guess if I now go back, to that moment that wherein I just decided that I'm going to paint, I think I couldn't hear any of these voices. I just could not. I mean, I don't think I had a choice. I would have gone mad if I was not painting. If, without boasting or taking any pride in it, I feel like art chooses you. You are too small to choose art, right? And if it chooses you and you don't listen, and it's gonna just completely, take over you. So I had to do it because I felt like this is it. This is why I have come to this world. And if I don't do this, I'm incomplete. And then the spirit in me was, hey, I'm choosing this. I got to make it work. So that was the idea, that now that I've chosen it, I got to make it work. And in order to be able to make it work, like I said, I made it like a corporate routine for myself. I work very hard. I feel like I work even harder than what I did earlier. And my husband is really supportive. But I paint every single day. I'm always in my studio and I'm always teaching. I'm sharing my knowledge, helping more and more people realize what's their true potential. And yeah, so it's been tough, but it's a journey that if you decide that you want to take on, it's going to be worthwhile. But you got to give all of yourself to it, right? So Yeah, they cannot be a mid ground anywhere. And I feel you cannot create art because you want to sell art. You cannot create art because, hey, there is a hot market out there for pink color. No, you have to create art with 100% authenticity. You create art because you need to create art. There is absolutely no other way to it. When you create art for yourself, what your soul wants to create, I'm sure it's going to connect with other souls. And then the business comes later. So you're really wearing two different hats. You're wearing a painter's hat, and then you're wearing a hat which has got nothing to do with being an artist. It's a business hat. It's difficult to juggle those two. But if you got to make it work, that's the only way you can sustain your passion, right?
How many paintings do you have in total that you've painted?
Well, I think at least in the last 5 years, I'm sure I'm close to hundreds, perhaps.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. Like I paint every day, and then there's so many of those that I just spray paint, as thumbnails just to try and explore my ideas of what would work, what would not work. So many in my sketchbooks. But other than, I'm talking, I'm not even including these. There probably are like hundreds of paintings around now. So,
What was that first feeling when you finished your first artwork?
oh my God. I mean, again, I'm not even going what happened 5 years back, right? So I've had paintings where I have had tears of joy. I've been impulsive about showing my painting to people and then coming back to it the next day and realizing, oh my God, that does not look right. So I think I'm getting a better control over myself. I'm more patient. I give more time to my paintings. I come back to it the next day. You see it better when you come back to it the next day. But yes, I've had some amazing, absolutely surreal moments painting and finishing artworks with tears in my eyes and just so much of gratitude in my heart that this isn't me. Thank you for choosing me and, just being there with me today and helping me kind of bring my vision onto the canvas, making it a reality.
No, this is amazing. And what else do you want to say to your viewers, especially people who actually want to take your class as adults? I know kids take art as a class, maybe their parents make them or they really like art. But what about to the adult people?
Yeah.
What's the mindset behind that?
I think the biggest myth in our world is that art is a talent and you are born with it. I was not at all trained until I decided that I'm gonna be a professional. And even without any training, all I had was the desire, and I could create art. So it's almost like learning how to ride a bike or learning how to swim. It's a skill that one can teach and one can learn. And with practice, you're only going to get better. Art is this only space where you are in an island, right? You are on an island, you don't care about how your artwork looks versus somebody else's work. There's no competition. You are unique. Your artwork is going to be unique. There can be no artwork that will be the exact same as yours. So I think if you have the desire to express yourself, irrespective of what medium, irrespective of what you want to paint, just go for it. And like I said, if you feel like, oh my God, I'm not born with it, I cannot paint a horse, I cannot draw a human figure. A lot of people say that I'm sorry, this isn't good enough. I don't know how to draw this. I said, it's almost like, you're learning to ride a bike with a training wheel in the beginning, but then as you keep practicing, you're on your own. So it's just about that. So yeah, keep following your dreams, keep following your passion. It requires hard work. And as long as you're giving that, it's worthwhile.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sanjukta. This has been a great podcast. Tell us about your Instagram handle, where they can find you if they want to purchase, take lessons at your art studio.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. I love your warm questions and very, very relevant questions. You can find me on Sanjukta Mitra Art on Instagram. I also have a website. It's called Sanjukta Mitra Art. And I have a gallery at Northrop Kings Building. Something big that's coming up in Minneapolis is Art of World. It's a 3-day art event. It's an art fair. It's amazing. The art scene in Minneapolis is excellent. So please do visit me in the gallery, Northrop Kings Building, Studio 179. And other than that, I also have a show coming up in India
Oh, nice.
on July 6th. It's gonna be Spiritus. It's a mix of Greek mythology and Indian mythology paintings. So you can find me, across all these platforms.
No, this is amazing. You're such a true artist. We can feel your energy, your vibe that comes through, and you do beautiful paintings. And I think the vibe is there because we're both wearing green. We were discussing that.
That's right, right?
We just matched instantly. But no, thank you, Sanjukta, for coming on. Everyone, thank you for watching SBW Talks today. We will have all of Sanjukta's information up and about. So if you're interested, go please support her artwork. Thank you for watching. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.